Him. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure to welcome Sheikh Arif Abdul Hussain. He's not a stranger to most of you. He's been to Karachi several times and we have benefited from his lectures from time to time. So first and foremost, we're grateful to him for accepting the invitation from the organizers to come once again. Secondly, I think we must also acknowledge the efforts of the organizers for taking the initiative to inviting Sheikh Arif Abdul Hussain. The objective is obviously to benefit the community from his knowledge and to enable the community to interact with him in a language which is a language of the world and in a format which is, for want of a better word, perhaps more modern than those which are available to us currently. In order to give you a brief background about Sheikh Arif, we did what any sensible person does nowadays. We Googled him. And when we Googled him, we found out that Sheikh Arif founded the Al-Mahdi Institute in Birmingham, UK in 1993. And he currently serves as its director and senior lecturer in Usul-e-Fiqh and Muslim philosophy. Sheikh Arif has been at the forefront of developing and delivering advanced Islamic studies tailored towards training students capable of addressing the needs of contemporary societies over the last 20 years. During this time, he has also never ceased in his commitment to sharing the human face of Islam at all levels of society through a combination of his inspirational and thought-provoking lectures, commitment to intra and inter-faith dialogue, and a dedication to encouraging the development of indigenous expressions of Islam throughout the world. Sheikh Arif was educated at the Madrasa Sayyid Al-Khoi in London and graduated with honors in 1988, where he also taught grammar, logic, Islamic law, and Usul-e-Fiqh. He has traveled to Iran at the Hauza Ilmiya and was there from 89 to 93, and he had other private trainings in Qom from 90 to 94. So we're very fortunate once again, and without further ado, over to you, Sheikh Sahib.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين شفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين وأصحابه المنتجبين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Thank you once again for having me. The discussions I thought this year ought to be around the Quran, considering the importance of the Quran and the month of Ramadan and its association with the Quran. Now, there are certain things we need to understand within ourselves before we can come to a meaningful life, living in a meaningful way, or understanding things in a way that they are contributing to the quality of life and taking us towards a meaningful end. Now, for me and you, we need to introspect within ourselves. We need to ask ourselves, have I really understood what I am all about? It's a very strange world for us, for me and you. We awaken in this world, and as soon as we awaken, we are conditioned. And that's the way the world is, and that's the way the world has to be. But at some point in our lives, there has to be that point where we ask, well, what is going on? It's a strange world. There is the sky, there is world, everything is done for us. I come here and I wonder, why am I here? What is it all about? What is going on? Indeed, the greatest question that anyone can ask is, who am I? And why am I here? It's a very fundamental question. Of course, religions bring a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning. But ask ourselves one question. I'm not against Islam, by the way, and I'm not against religions, yes? I'm trying to be a Muslim in the way the Quran asks for a Muslim to be. Ask ourselves a question, and maybe I've said this before, that out of the 7 billion people in this world, how many of them have seriously questioned their religion? Majority of the people will in fact argue for the validity of their religions, and they will go out and kill for their religion. Now, if you were to take a Hindu and place him inside Christianity, he would grow up as a Christian, be convinced of Christianity, and will be ready to kill and die for Christianity. If you were to switch a Sunni into a Shia and a Shia into a Sunni, you will find the same thing, more than likely. I know Christians becoming Muslims, Muslims becoming Christians, Sunni becoming Shias, Shias becoming Sunnis, so on and so forth. I've seen the whole mix in my life. But for the most part, I have seen that people actually prove the religions of their birth. To me, it shows that people are not primarily concerned with religion. They are just conditioned. They just want a meaning to life and anything that can make sense to them. But the one thing that is so important that everybody is missing out on is, well, what is it all about? Another little prelude before we go into it. Truly, many years ago I noticed this, that a Muslim does nothing different to a Christian, and a Christian to a Jew, and the Abrahamic faiths to a Hindu, and the theist community to an atheist community. If you were to analyze us, all of us, very, very accurately, you will see that we all need some belief, some direction. And around that direction, we form our world. Our ceremonies might have different names, but they are same ceremonies. There is no difference in any of us. If an alien were to come to this earth, they would say that the Hindus are not doing anything different to the Muslims, who are not doing anything different to the Christians. In fact, they would make a judgment that the believers and the non-believers all do the same thing. They all want to grow and do what is best for themselves, and they just need that focal point to give them some sense, some direction, some meaning, so that they may sleep peacefully at night. The most fundamental question, therefore, in life is, well, what am I all about? And what is this all about? To be honest with you, a person who awakens, their heart simultaneously is filled with no fear, and it's gripped in terror. Gripped in terror at not knowing what is out there. Without any fear, knowing that this is an opportunity. And of course, if there is a belief in God, then immediately the inner self says that if there is a God who's made me like this, inquisitive, then that God needs to honor me. He needs to encourage me on this path of trying to understand. It is not possible that God, who makes all of these things, can send me here to just pray, fast, eat, drink, curse the rest of the world and die. It's not possible that God, who can create me, be so petty. And the other thing we notice is that if God has created me, then I am in the nature of God. If He has ignited me with questioning from within, then He needs to honor my questioning, for that is what He wants me to do. It is like me with my students. I welcome their questioning. In fact, I welcome it when they challenge me. I know that they are coming of age. So my God, by priority, who has filled me with this nature of being inquisitive, of inquiring, would honor this nature of mine. It's very simple. If there is a God, then I will find Him. If there is no God, then I will run away from something that is wasteful. I know this might sound very, very odd. I know this might sound very, very odd, yes, for anybody to say this. But I am speaking at this point as a logical man. If there is a God and a higher reality, then I will find Him. That's what I want to do. I certainly have not found Him in religion. Because had I found Him in religion, there will not be this question filled in my heart as to what is going on, what is happening. So that's the first thing. That in this world of ours, it's a strange world. There are stars, sun, moon. I try and understand the nature of the stars, of the sun, of the moon, of the ecology, of the mountains, of the oceans. But that fundamental question, well, why is it all here? Why am I here? Who am I? That fundamental question is not being asked. If we were to arrive at that point of asking this fundamental question, then our attitude changes totally. The new attitude that comes upon us is one of not presuming anything, is one of genuine inquiry. Let us talk about this for a moment before we address the issue of the Quran. I always felt pretentious and unreal when I sat with the interfaith community and the intrafaith community. Whenever I sat with the Sunnis, brothers, the Ahlul Hadith, the Ismailis, or the Christians and the Jews, I felt very artificial from within myself, and I couldn't understand why. Then I understood it, that when I sit with the Christians, I have already presumed that I am on the right. Now my attitude towards them is that they cannot add anything to me, but if we can find some commonalities, then we can work on that. Or that I will tolerate them. Even the attitude of trying to understand them as they are wasn't there in my mind. Later on, of course, you come of age and you feel, actually, let me try and appreciate this person for what he is. And at this ripe old age, the attitude is, if he has got the truth, then I need to know it. It is my truth. I am without any persuasion. Do you know why? Because a Muslim is one who submits to the truth wherever he finds it. There is no truth for a Muslim. A Muslim is in the state of wholesome submission to the truth as and how it is found. Now the attitude is, even if that man is a Hindu or a Jew, sit with them. If they have a truth, then it is your truth. It is a beauty that belongs to you. So there is this pretense through assumption that I am right. What that does is, it blocks off the opportunity of life altogether. Because as soon as I presume that I am right, there is no scope left for any more enlightenment or growth. I gave this example some time back. I don't know if you will remember. Our outlook determines how we process and digest information. Back in the day, the people had this belief that the earth was flat. That belief governed the people's minds, their aspirations, their ability to make ships. They never made big ships because of the fear of falling off the edge. But not only that, they also thought that the earth was the center of the universe. What happened there was that whatever new information they got of the cosmos, they couldn't accept it unless they first fit it into a whole outlook of a universe in which earth was the center. Similarly, when Newton came and discovered gravity and universalized gravity, what happened was that when we started discovering the laws of the wider universe that defy gravity, we were not ready to accept them, but we had to fit them in the model of gravity. What happens is that our outlook will determine how we process information. And if our outlook is limited, no matter how grand the thing that we observe or how phenomenal the information we get, it will become as little as our outlook. Our outlook will limit it all. I'll give you a very simple, mundane example. And I know I've irritated the Shia community by this example. And that was the reason why I gave that example, to irritate people, so that they may think. But we can also prove it. So I said in the Muharram Majlises that Allah bless Mother Teresa, and may a Mother Teresa do shafa'ah for me on the day of Qiyamah. So the Khoja community was enraged. He doesn't want the Imams to do shafa'ah for him. And I did that very deliberately. I will tell you that our Imam has taught us what I am saying to you. Okay? The fourth Imam has taught us what I am saying right now. The people don't read what the Imams have said. But whatever they hear, they will digest in accordance with their very restricted framework. Now, here I am. Mother Teresa is such a beautiful person. But for me, oh Allah, forgive her. Save her from hell. Whereas, if Mother Teresa was a Shia, I would not say, oh Allah, forgive her, save her from hell. I will say, oh Allah, put her in the 7th paradise, or if you can create an 8th one, put her there. Look at my attitude. I'm just questioning my attitude here. Because she is not of my persuasion, Allah save her from hell, she's done so much good. But if she belonged to my persuasion, oh Allah, sit her next to Janabe, with our illustrious lady and her family. That would be the prayer, wouldn't it? It would be in a very different way. This is what it does. Presumptions and assumptions, they limit us. And every new information that comes to us is first and foremost reduced and then fitted inside this narrow outlook and then digested. What happens there is that the new information does not add substantively to us as human beings and does not lead to a meaningful life. We are no different today to what we were yesterday, despite the input of new information. So this is what restricts us. Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first thing he did was, he asked the people, think. Does it make sense? He didn't tell them, leave Lat and Uzza and come to the mosque and pray, for that would have been the same thing. He didn't do this. He said, think. Does this make sense? For you to say that we live in this world and we die and there is nothing else of it, does it really make sense? Is there not a loftier purpose in this existence? Think about your practices. Does it really make sense for you to say that I have to enter my house from the back door as opposed to the front door? Otherwise calamities will befall me. Does it really make sense, he asked. And he made them think. Burying your daughters, is it right? Cheating people, is it right? What he did was, he made them think. He opened their minds. What happened as a result was, the very people who were boxed for centuries became what? Philosophers, scientists, explorers, great humanitarians, writers. They became everything that they couldn't become, despite the want of becoming naturally, because of their very narrow outlook. So here it is. In this series of talks, what I wanted to do here, or in my very humble capacity, was to put aside our assumptions and to look at the Quran and see what it is trying to say. What are these assumptions that are ruining my appreciation of this Word of God? Let us go back. Let us presume I have just opened my eyes to this world. Although it's not possible for me to just open my eyes to this world, but I'll give an example that a philosopher has given. He states, is it possible that you did not exist 5 minutes ago? I know what you're thinking, oh no, he's going into his philosophy and going off on one again, a tangent. I'm not. He says, imagine, very carefully you've been placed here on this seat, and memory of the past has been instilled in your heads. And then suddenly the light switch is switched on, you all awaken, and you have these memories inside you. Based on those memories, you continue. Is that so far-fetched? Is it really so far-fetched? Imagine, he is not false in saying this. I am born to a cradle that has its own experiences and memories that they feed inside my head, don't they? My parents, my immediate culture, my world, you, my community. As I took birth, I was just somebody who awoke. You were responsible, although I know most of you are younger than me, but it's just an example. The cultures, the families were responsible for instilling inside me a language that has a history as old as the history of humanity. These are not mere words, they are meanings. They are packed out meanings, with a lot of baggage in them. Is it that far-fetched for me to say that all of these I have inherited from somebody else and I'm just presuming the world? So now, I'm in this state and there is a claim that there is a creator. And this is his communication. If I were to find that claim anywhere, I would run to it. But would I go to that communication of the Creator naively and say, yes, this is the communication of the Creator? I wouldn't, would I? I would say, well, let me assess it. Let me assess it. That would be my attitude, wouldn't it? If this is from the Creator, then what is it all about? That would be my attitude. I would have no assumptions in my head. And if that is my attitude, I would be in a state of what I call objectivity, or in a state of neutrality with that communication of God. Wouldn't that be the case? And then I would find this claim scattered with the Christianity, with the Jews, with the Hindus, and whoever else. So I will gather all of their works and try and examine them. And I would say, if it is all from the Creator, is it the same Creator that's talking to everybody? Or is it just a man-made, concocted thing in the name of a Creator? Yes? If I see such conflicts, I would just say this is just man-made. If I see concurrence, I would say, yes, there is a truth all of these are concurring on. I would be that open, yes? That would be the first thing. The second assumptions that I will throw away as a result of throwing away the first assumption is the assumptions, or are the assumptions that I bring in as a Muslim. Why should there be any thawab in reading an Arabic book that I don't even understand? I'm supposed to understand the communication of the Creator, aren't I? After all, I'm asking, what is the purpose of existence? Why am I here? What is it all about? I don't know what is going on. I just see people coming and people going. What is it all about? And when I take a neutral stand, I just see all of these are little babies who just come and do everything everybody else is doing and just go. Why aren't there awakened people who ask the deeper question, who am I? Is it really worth killing in the name of God? Can God allow killing in His name? Can there be distinction between white and black? Can there be biases between man and woman? Can there be a claim that I am right and you're wrong in the name of the same Creator? Can there be theologies that condone the mighty to exploit the poor? Can there be belief that I can feed the person who says Allah and not feed the person who says God? Can there be a theology that allows me to appreciate Mr. Khalid because his name is Mr. Khalid, and doesn't allow me to appreciate Mother Teresa because of her name, Mother Teresa? I ask these fundamental questions. So the second set of assumptions that I will throw away is that what benefit is there in reciting something in Arabic when I don't even know if God exists? And if God exists, I know God exists, by the way. And if God exists, well, what is He trying to say? What point is there in Alif Lam Mim? ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Alif Lam Mim, which nobody understands. ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ. The Arabic says ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ, that book. Nobody is asking when they read the translation, this book. Why? Why is there inconsistency in this? لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. There is no doubt in there. Hudan lil muttaqin. It's a guide for those who are God aware. Nobody is going to ask this, that this is the book that leads people to kill each other. Isn't it? This is the very book that is leading Muslims to kill each other. Forget Muslims and Christians. What sort of hidayah is there in this book? An inquiring mind should think, shouldn't they? Nobody asks. A 9-year-old girl, according to this book, has to fast for 22 hours in Sweden. Isn't that barbaric? Which God would want that? I know I'm going into stormy waters, aren't I? With the Khojas and the Muslims, you can question the existence of a God, but you can't shorten the fast. Seriously? Is this where the community is? You can make your God barbaric God, nobody minds. That God will kill, throw in hell, everything, fine. Shorten the fast. No. Look at this state of ours. The assumption, and to be honest with you, you come to an age that I have come to, which is an old age now, where you don't care anymore. What happens? What are the consequences of what you're saying? It doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter at all. Because if you come to that level of belief that He is the one, as inshallah we will explain if Allah so wills and allows, and if Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's teachings and Ali ibn Abi Talib's teachings penetrate the mind, the soul becomes totally without inhibitions. They will say what they want to say, because the consequences are guaranteed, and inshallah we'll talk about this, that the consequences are guaranteed no matter what I try to do. So the second set of assumptions will go that what is this Quranic recitation? Reading Quran in Arabic is good. It gives identity. But I'm talking about it from the perspective of me awakening, yes? What good is this Arabic recitation of the Quran that I don't even understand? That's the second assumption that will go. The third assumption that goes is, and we're getting into deeper waters. The third assumption that goes is this Quran unquestionable? Can you see that? I'll explain this. If I were to pick up Bhagavad Gita, yes, as a Muslim, would I feel a similar reverence for Bhagavad Gita? I wouldn't, would I? I will say, no, Krishna is talking something that's not logical here. He's advising Arjun, no, that's Mahabharata, isn't it? The Genesis, whatever the Genesis are, yes? The god Ganesh and whatever, so well, the morals might be right, but the way he went about it, this deception does not behove and befit a god. I would be very critical, wouldn't I? Because I don't have the affinity there. There are no assumptions. But when I read the Quran, to say this doesn't make sense, I wouldn't have the right to do that, would I? Who takes my right away? Who takes my right away? In my own self, in my mind, in my heart, who takes my right away? Nobody can take my right away. It is the fool who takes his own right away himself. So the second assumption will go, is this unquestionable? Why should it be unquestionable? If it is from God, he should be able to stand the test of any question. Isn't that right? This is what I mean by objectivity. And then other assumptions go as well. What are the other assumptions? It is eternal. You know, I can't understand why the Muslims don't introspect. It is eternal. The Quran is eternal. What do you mean eternal? What is so eternal about it? And what is eternal in this Quran? We are saying that verse, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا الَّذِينَ يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. It's about Allah being your wali, the Prophet being your wali, the people who pray and give sadaqah and ruku being your wali. How is that verse eternal? It is confined in history to Ali ibn Abi Talib, isn't it? How is it eternal? What do you mean by its eternity? Can you see this? Ya azwaj an-nabi, ya nisa an-nabi, lastunna ka ahadin min nisa. Oh, women of the Prophet, not like any other women. How can this verse be eternal? And when you ask of them from behind the curtain that is purer for your heart and their heart, about the Nisa Nabi. How is this verse eternal? Tell me. I'm going to ask you another one. Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Bring me Abu Lahab today. Is this eternal, this verse? Tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab. Perished are the hands of Abi Lahab. Perished is the hand of Abi Lahab, as he himself has perished. How is that eternal? Show me. Can you see this? Yes, it might be eternal, which we might explore afterwards. But at that level at which I'm coming from right now today, from the angle of afresh looking at the Quran objectively, how is that eternal? Tell me. It is just an assumption in the head. Are we understanding that? What that does is, it falters with our recitation of the Quran. How can it be hidayah? Hidayah can only be when I am ready to accept and understand it, isn't it? When I already have my head filled with stuff, that hidayah can't even get through to me. I have put so many blocks in front of me. It's like me reading the Bible, the Holy Bible. I already know it is wrong. It can't even guide me after that, even to the extent at which it wants to guide me. And the Quran is saying in Surah Ma'idah, oh people of the book, you are upon nothing until you establish Torah and Injil. There you go. Even today it's telling them, establish Torah and Injil. And according to the Muslim, these are redundant books. So that's the other thing that will go. What are the other assumptions that fill our heads? It is from God, and that God is talking through it. Honestly, when you read the Quran and you're very open, you will find that God at times talks through it, and at times it's not God talking through it. It is the angels talking in the Quran. Do you know this? And we will go and read this afterwards in a fuller way if we continue with this series of lectures. The angels are saying, وَخَسَفْنَا بِهِ وَبِدَارِهِ الْأَرْضِ وَمَا كَانَ لَهُ مِنْ فِئَةٍ يَنْصُرُونَهُ مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ وَمَا كَانَ مِنَ الْمُنْتَصِرِينَ. Qarun, the person who is from the Qawm of Musa, comes out in his glory with all his treasures. The Quran is saying, فَخَسَفْنَا بِهِ, we opened the earth from below him and we swallowed Qarun up. There wasn't any group who assisted Qarun apart from Allah. Allah is being made an exception of, that Allah could have assisted him. How can Allah speak like this? That we swallowed him up and nobody could help him apart from Allah. Are you seeing? The whole accent of the words tells you that there is another agency speaking, and Allah is made the Holy One who can overrule whatever was happening there. Or illa an yasha Allah, we will punish them except Allah wills otherwise. Can you see that? Look at the subtleties of the Quran. You know immediately that Allah is the overriding force here in many of the verses. That in many of the verses Allah is speaking. We know, we can see clearly that Allah is talking as I, as we, as He, referring to Himself in a variety of manners. Why? And on another occasion, it is not Allah speaking. Allah is made the most holy one, who can overrule each and every single thing. So here it is, the assumption that Allah is talking all the time. Can you see that? That's another assumption that is faltering with our appreciation of the Quran. Another assumption that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was just a means. He's not just a means. He's a fundamental part in this revelation. Yes? And we will explore this. It is his challenges that the Quran is responding to. The Nisan Nabi is connected with the Prophet. Abu Lahab is connected to the Prophet when he tried to strike the Prophet. Yes? Yasin wal Quranil innaka laminal mursaleen. Indeed, you are amongst the mursaleen. The Prophet was entertaining at times doubts, as our Mufassirin are saying. Maybe not doubts, but was filled with anxiety. Ala siratin mustaqim. Wala tahzan alayhim. Don't be grieved at them. Allah will guide whoever He wants to. Don't worry. It shows that the Prophet's sentiment, the Prophet's anxiety was all playing into the revelation. The Prophet's personal situation in response to Prophet's questions, the verses were coming. Yes? So the Prophet has played a key role in the revelation. So the revelation cannot be the word of God outside the context of the Prophet. Similarly, the immediate context has played a part in this revelation, hasn't it? وَالسَّارِقُ وَالسَّارِقَ فَاقْطَعُوا أَيْدِيَهُمَا. The male and female thief cut their hands off, because that was the only means at that point, cutting hands off. How can it go and tell you? Give them psychotherapy. It wasn't around. Nobody knew it. Yes? Of course, the Quran will say that fast from the first streak of daylight till night. It wasn't revealed in Sweden in summer, where there's only half an hour day. It has to be bound in the context of the Prophet and the context of the people. It's an assumption that it is in its own rights a revelation. The Prophet has no part to play in it. The Prophet is a fundamental part in the revelation of the Quran. Two, the context of the Prophet and the words that they used and the things that they knew are also giving the Quran what the Quran has become. The Arabs did not understand kangaroo, and that's why you don't have a mention of kangaroo inside the Quran, do you? Is there kangaroo anywhere in the Quran? If you were to say to the Khoja there's a kangaroo in the Quran, they would believe it. Do you know why? because the Shias don't read the Quran. I got into so much trouble for making this comment last time around in Birmingham, so I hope I don't get into similar trouble here. Think about it. Apples and pears, they weren't around, so there's no mention in the Quran. But we have olives, dates, pomegranate. These are the fruits consumed by the Arabs. We have horses, donkeys, camels, because the Arabs used them. We have cattle. We also have elephant because the Arabs saw elephant. Yes? When they came to demolish the Kaaba. The language of the Quran is also bound by the context in which the Quran was revealed. The examples the Quran gives are also bound by what they understood. Otherwise it would not make sense to them. These are assumptions in our heads that are messing up our reading of the Quran. I'm going to leave us with one thing today. That as we awaken, we want to know what is going on. I can't, at this age of mine, I can't be worried with this fear that I'm going to go to hell. Yes? I love my Allah enough. And I have enough confidence in Him that if I were to go out looking for Him, He will open His arms and receive me. I have that much confidence in Him. As did Ibrahim in Surah An'am. Ra'a kawkaban qala hadha rabbi. He saw the star, he said, this is my Lord. Falamma afala qala. And when it faded away, he said, this can't be my Lord. And then he saw the moon brilliantly shining in the sky. He said, this is my Lord. This is bigger or brighter. And when it faded away, he said, if I do not like those that fade away. Then he saw the sun. He was observing all of this for quite a few hours. Then he saw the sun. And he said, this is bigger than all of them. This is my God. And at dusk, when it faded away, he said, had my Lord not guided me, I would have not been guided aright. وَقَذَلِكَ. And similarly, we showed Ibrahim the malakutus samawati wal ard, the kingdom of the heaven and the earth. If we were to take this Abrahamic leap, then fear not of hell or heaven, please. We will, of course, be righteous people and good people. Honestly, if my God has created my mother, then I know my God is a blind forgiver. I know this. He is a blind lover. I know this. And I have no fear. If my God has created a teacher, then I know He wants the student to be inquisitive and to challenge. So we leave us with this thought that as we awaken into this world, the most fundamental thing we need to ask that has been stolen away from us, what is going on? Oh my Lord, if you are my Lord, then fill this heart with a sense of purpose, so that I may not exist upon this world like cattle without any aim. Oh Lord, if indeed you are my Lord, then touch my heart with such love that I may not need to look anywhere else other than you. Oh Lord, if indeed you have created everything, then entice this heart and allure it to the extent that every breath sings your glory, every beat yearns you of the heart, every drop of blood is ready to be spilt in your passion. O Lord, fill me with such an existence that I may lead a meaningful life. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma inna nasaluka bihaqq al-Hussain wa jaddihi wa abi wa ummi wa akhi wa tis'ati al-ma'sumina min dhurriyyatihi wa bani. Allahumma ighfir lana dhunubana wa kaffir anna sayyiatina wa tawaffana ma'al abrar. اللهم عجل فرج إمامنا المنتظر واجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة. بسم الله.